This is a Let's Talk Church Safety and Security microsode with your host, Paul Buckner.
When we get it wrong, man, oh man, can we get it wrong. So as a church, churches are made up of flawed and broken people who need Jesus, and sometimes people who don't live very much like they've got Jesus. Sometimes that's our church, sometimes that's another church. Sometimes as a chaplain, I have conversations that break my heart. I have conversations like I mentioned in a previous video. You're the only church that will help us when there's a problem. You're our favorite church. You're the only church that will help somebody in need. You're our favorite church. We come from multiple cities around and come to your church because you guys will help somebody when they need help, including an officer. Gosh, man, we're getting it wrong. It just breaks my heart. And so then follow that with, had a conversation the other day where an officer was like, hey, you know, this church, they've had a shakeup in their leadership, and it's largely a different church. A lot of people left, some different people joined. It's not the same church it used to be. I know people that go to that church. I have family that goes to that church. And I had officers come into me going, they're involved in a lawsuit with the next door neighbor. Now think about that. If this hits close to home, I apologize. But I know for a fact, because I have family that attends that church, that a long time ago, there was a board meeting and the decision was made that they would allow the next door neighbor to drive out of their backyard, which is 10 feet, across the edge of the church's property, out a shared driveway that already existed. Nothing special was done. And the people that lived there began to mow the property. I had this at my last church, a great relationship with the next door neighbors. They give you great intel. They tell you that there was somebody in the area. I ran somebody off that was trying to do drugs behind one of your outbuildings, whatever. So these people would help mow. They would do things and go out of their way to help with situations that were things they didn't have to do in order to be neighborly. They built a good relationship as a church with the next door neighbors. The problem is now, after it's been grandfathered in, after they've been doing it for so long that they're going to lose the lawsuit, they took it upon themselves to tell the existing set of owners, you can't drive there anymore, right as they were getting ready to sell, and then tell the new owners, you can't drive there anymore. And they are firmly embroiled in a lawsuit. A member of the church has caused such a hubbub, they hired a tree trimming company to come in and trim the trees down the property line on the contested property line, because there's a question as to where exactly the property line is. It was never known exactly where it was, so everybody just behaved like a gentleman or gentlewoman about it, and it was not a big deal. It would have been one thing to get a survey done, but the church would mow a little bit onto that side, the people would mow a little bit onto the church's side. It was always playing by Queensberry rules, and it was always done with a gentle spirit. And the leadership that used to be at that church, and I'm not saying that the people that are in it now, I don't know them very well, they're not bad people, but there's a couple of people that are causing a nightmare problem. They are now embroiled in one lawsuit, and as I understand it, I was told the other day that they possibly got hit with a cease and desist from a judge saying that they're in contempt of court. That their church, guys, is in contempt of court. Does that bother you as much as it bothers me? They've lost their witness. They've lost their way. And I'm like, I knew their pastor. They built a culture of do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. They built a culture of, sure, you can come over here and have your birthday party. Sure, you can have your anniversary dinner over here. We want everybody that has property close to the church. We want everybody in this neighborhood to go to church here. Or if you don't, we want you to know that you're loved and you're always welcome. We want to help you if we can. Getting a little choked up. And now they're embroiled in a lawsuit with at least one and probably headed for two, if not more, neighbors, because they've got a situation that's getting out of control. These are people I knew as a kid. These are people that I have met, numerous times. Breaks my heart. I don't know what to do with that, to tell you, other than the fact that we've got to be careful that we do not lose our way. Now, I know of a church that got sued by a neighbor who was being an absolute jerk, and all he saw was dollar signs, and he lost the lawsuit. But it's doing to others as you would have them doing to you. In so much as you are able to live at peace with men, they've lost their Christian witness. Like big time. Lost their Christian witness. And I would challenge us all to gut check ourselves and make sure we're not getting ourselves involved in situations that destroys our witness. Because now it's getting spread around the community. I just found a better place to park. Pulled up to my next appointment. Now they're embroiling themselves in a situation that they didn't have to be involved in. And it's a mess. Now they're putting themselves in a situation that is completely out of control. They've lost their Christian witness. There are going to be people there are people already in the community that are talking about this, that are going, I don't want to go to church there. Do you want to go to church there? That's not a good church. Is this what churches are like? Oh my gosh. Think about that. We are supposed to live such holy lives among unbelievers that they would look at what we do and how we do it and why we do it and go, I want that for me. That's not that. This is not that. We need to be careful that we don't lose our way. And I can tell you that the previous pastor of that church would be absolutely devastated and heartbroken to see what has happened and how the culture has been destroyed. This is why leadership is important. This is why our heart is important. This is why we need to remember doing to others as you would have them do unto you. And to remember that our reputation ripples and echoes. So here's the icing on the cake. The other day, I'm riding through that town with a police officer, and I look over and there's a news crew in that front yard. Officer stops in. Guess what the news crew is interviewing the neighbor about? The evil church next door. Wow. Breaks my heart. Let's not do that, folks, right? Let's, in so much as we're able to live at peace with men, let's live such holy lives among the heathen that they would see our good works and they would want what we have. They would want Christ. They would want that relationship with Christ. They should, it doesn't matter how much we know, without love, we're only a resounding gong. If we're not careful, we can be that cliche church that's worthless in the community and doing nothing to change lives and only damaging the name of Christ and only hurting other churches. Guys, this tale is told as a cautionary tale, as a warning to anybody who would pass down that same path. Let's not do this, guys. And the thing that breaks my heart is I've got all these cops that are talking to me about it, going, hey, I know you have family here. I know you have friends here. This is terrible, dude. Many of these men are getting closer to Christ by the day and not understanding why. Well, you're not like that, Paul. That's not the kind of Christian you are. So why are those Christians like that? That's a tough conversation to have. God bless.
If you enjoyed this microsode, check out the video and audio versions of the Let's Talk Church Safety and Security podcast.